Welcome back to TechSearch News, where we bring you the latest in the world of science and technology. For more than a decade, the Netflix brand has been akin to disruption and innovation. Netflix has been a success in every sense of the word, from a modest beginning in the late 1990s, trailblazing the modern model for digital media consumption. However, being the first at something means that others will simply imitate you. The number of streaming services has increased from 1 to over 200 in the last decade, with more on the way. This competition, combined with creative decisions and growth challenges, has led Netflix into precarious territory. Netflix's stock price has dropped by 70%, employees are being laid off, and hundreds of thousands of subscribers are canceling, with even more anticipated to leave in the coming year. Today, let's look at how Netflix soared to the top, what went wrong, and what the future may hold. Marc Randolph and Reed Hastings founded Netflix in 1997. Its origin story is quite interesting. Reed Hastings was irritated when Blockbuster charged him $40 for returning a VHS tape late. He believed that as a computer scientist, a mathematician, and entrepreneur, he could develop a better way. Later, while Reed and Mark were driving around, they were both talking about the success of Amazon. They exchanged ideas for shipping items over what was then the budding internet. They considered VHS tapes to be too fragile and costly, so they settled on DVDs, which were also brand new at that time. After a small practice run on shipping DVDs to themselves, they decided to pursue the idea, and Netflix was born. The company quickly grew. Interestingly, Netflix reached out to Blockbuster with a $50 million offer in 2000. Blockbuster laughed them out of the office, thinking it was a joke. Blockbuster CEO, John Antiquio, thought the dot-com craze was exaggerated. Netflix, unfazed, continued to expand. Later that year, in 2004, Blockbuster realized their error and launched their own DVD rental service. Regrettably for Blockbuster, poor management and excessive corporate debt resulted in its demise. As high-speed internet became more widely available, Netflix shifted its focus to online streaming in 2007. This proved to be the ideal move, and the company's fortunes skyrocketed. We should recall that in the late 2000s to the early 2010s, the streaming platform model for watching television and movies at home was considered revolutionary, and Netflix was at the forefront of this revolution. They were the first and only massively successful platform for streaming movies and TV shows from a wide range of studios with a long head start. There was enough high-quality content available that customers were willing to pay for it. Netflix was a great deal at $8 per month versus $50 per month for cable. It truly felt like a new era for media usage at the time. Netflix's business model was so successful that it altered consumers' perception. Free-to-air advertising-supported content became intolerable. In comparison, bloated paid television companies with monopolies seemed archaic. Netflix continued to expand and spread its wings quickly. It was available in the United States, Canada, Latin America, and the Caribbean by 2010. It has made its way to Australia and United Kingdom by 2012. Original programming quickly followed, with critically acclaimed shows such as 2013's Orange is the New Black, House of Cards, Black Mirror, and later, Stranger Things. It truly cannot be overstated how entertaining this time was for consumers, particularly those living outside of the United States. Netflix was a very well-designed product, unrivaled. It's a remarkable success story, especially given that Blockbuster was once Netflix's biggest competitor. Whereas one company embraced the change and led a disruption campaign, the other failed to change. Blockbuster soon went bankrupt, and Netflix quickly became one of the most profitable businesses in the world, with a peak appraisal of $306 billion. You can't succeed and perform effectively for long before others recognize your idea. This is exactly what began to happen by the late 2010s. Initially, the competition came from other startup companies, but before long, the giant corporations decided to enter the fray. In recent years, large companies with seemingly limitless funds have begun to roll out their own streaming services. Apple TV Plus, which costs $5 per month, focuses on premium content. NBC Universal's Peacock which costs $5 per month, also took a lot of US sitcoms away from Netflix. HBO released HBO Max for $15 per month and wowed critics with new shows like Succession. And the most powerful of all, the tyrannical IP monster that is Disney, who launched their very own Disney Plus, which absorbed all of the remaining sentimental feelings about Netflix, as well as the addition of original content from the Marvel IP and other television shows and films. All of this for just $12 per month. To put this in context, a standard Netflix account now costs around $16 per month, one of the most expensive alternatives. At this point in the story, despite the increased competition, Netflix remained number one and was set to win big thanks to a massive event that was to take place in China. During the initial stages of the pandemic, Netflix saw a significant increase in revenue. Despite its competition, it has more subscribers than most other platforms. People were stuck at home, and at one point, everyone was having multiple conversations about Tiger King. Over the course of 2020 and 2021, Netflix added tens of millions of new subscribers, and they became known as the king of the stay-at-home stocks, a category that saw significant growth investments. Even in the middle of 2021, Netflix was still acquiring subscribers, but this would all change as vaccines became available and the pandemic waned. Netflix had a problem because customers were no longer confined to their homes. Consumers spent more than a year trying out everything each provider had to offer. Now that they were all informed, they could decide which ones to keep and which to discard. The increased quantity and quality of competition, the poaching of the Netflix IP, and a steady decline in subscriber interest could only mean one thing. Netflix was about to face a reckoning. The Netflix investors decided to abandon the company en masse in mid-April 2022. This came after it was divulged that the service had lost 200,000 subscribers globally in the previous quarter and was expected to lose millions more in the coming quarter. The original estimate was actually 2.5 million increase. This was the first quarter in a decade in which Netflix has lost more subscribers than it gained. The news came as a surprise, and the stock price dropped by 35% right away. While Netflix's business is principally simple to grasp, investors have lost faith in their ability to forecast the company's potentials with sufficient reliability. By the end of April 2022, Netflix had lost more than 70% of its value since its peak. Some shareholders are so dissatisfied with the streaming service that they have filed a lawsuit against it. They claim that Netflix's management misled them about the company's financial future. Netflix has blamed subscriber losses on a variety of factors. They reference growing competition, people going back to work, the company withdrawing from Russia, and password sharing between households. Of course, in their earlier days, these explanations were absolutely valid. However, this is not the entire Netflix story. When other platforms are pushing new limits, Netflix cannot rely solely on brand recognition and unmotivated consumers sticking with what they know. Netflix has a lot of content, but sorting through it and finding good ones is becoming more difficult than it should be. When Netflix first launched, its exclusive content was impressive. However, it appears that much less of that is now being produced. Other criticisms include a recent emphasis on more politically charged content, which generally does not perform well in any format. Netflix's pricing model is also exacerbating the problem. Rising prices are becoming more common. For example, a standard Netflix account in 2014 cost $9 per month, but it is now approaching $16 per month, and with rising interest rates and inflation, many households are finding it difficult to make ends meet. Consumers have less funds to spend on entertainment in general, and Netflix is on top of the list of things to cut. It all comes down to this. Why will customers spend more for content that is gradually deteriorating in quality? Currently, the Netflix HD option is the most overpriced streaming service available, and this simply does not make sense. This is aggravated by the announcement that the brand will launch a less expensive alternative with ads. Ironically, this is reducing Netflix to the same stale viewing experience consumers avoided in the first place. Netflix CEO Reed Hastings admitted to investors last month that he had never wanted a Netflix advertising tier. He also stated that he was opposed to the complexity of advertising and a big fan of subscription simplicity. but admits that advertising is crucial for those who want a cheaper price. Layoffs have also affected the company, which does not bode well for Netflix. Shedding subscribers while grasping at straws for revenue-generating ideas, laying off new employees, and nosediving stock value are all bad signs. Even Netflix executives have forecast that the coming months will be equally difficult. So, what comes next? Will Netflix adapt and thrive, or will another company take its place? Netflix's business model is completely reproducible, so it's not impossible. But there could be something lurking behind the scenes. Maybe we're in for a streaming crash right now, similar to the 1983 video game crash. Perhaps there are simply too many options available. Consumers are being stretched too thin, resulting in a saturated market that cannot be sustained. Ultimately, all we can do is wait and see. It's possible that Netflix has simply had its moment in the spotlight. It has reached its highest point of profitability, and any new changes to boost it will result in a decrease. Whatever the case is, it will take time to play out. Perhaps, in an ironic twist, we will be discussing Netflix in the same vein as Blockbuster in the distant future. That is all we have for today. And if you enjoyed the video, why don't you give us a like and subscribe to TechSurge News to hear the latest in the world of science and technology. Don't forget to hit the bell button below to get notifications on when we post next. Thank you for staying till the end of the video, and hope you enjoyed. TechSurge News, signing out.